the legends of the American Wild West, the name Doc Holliday stands out as a figure of great renown. However, behind every exceptional man, there often lies an extraordinary woman, and in this case, that person is none other than Big Nose Kate. Kate, captivated by the allure of the Wild West, finds herself irresistibly drawn to its excitement and adventure. It was within this realm that she crossed paths with Doc Holliday, and their connection was instant and profound. Together, they embarked on a journey that took them across lawless borders where they encountered danger and hardship at every turn. While Kate's own resilience, independence, and fearlessness shone brightly, her legacy often finds itself overshadowed by her famous companion. In this video, we delve into the life of Big Nose Kate, shining a light on the extraordinary woman who stood steadfastly by Doc Holliday's side until the very end. Mary Catherine Herony, later known as Big Nose Kate, was born on November 7, 1850 in Hungary. Her father, as a physician, was appointed as the personal surgeon to Emperor Maximilian of Mexico in 1862. As a result, the Herony family left Hungary and relocated to Mexico. However, in 1865, the Maximilian's rule came to an end, and the Herony family was compelled to flee the country. They eventually settled in Davenport, Iowa, where Kate would spend her adult years. At the age of 14, tragedy struck Big Nose Kate when her mother passed away on March 26, 1865. Just 2 months later, her father also died, leaving Kate and her siblings in foster care. In 1867, Kate found herself under the care of a man named Otto Smith. However, her time with him was short-lived as she embarked on an unauthorized journey by boarding a steam train to St. Louis, Missouri. After being discovered by Captain Fisher, Kate was allowed to stay in St. Louis instead of being sent back. She adopted the name Fisher and went on to enroll in a convent school. Eventually, she married a dentist named Silas Melvin, and they had a child together. Unfortunately, both her husband and child died in the same year due to yellow fever. By 1874, Kate had made her way to Wichita, Kansas, where she started working in a sports house owned by Nellie Bessie Earp, wife of James Earp. Although Kate maintains that she did not meet Wyatt Earp until later in Fort Griffin, Texas, some historical speculation suggests that she may have been romantically involved with him during her time in Wichita. Wyatt was also present in Wichita around this time, leading to various speculations about a potential relationship between the two. In 1875, Kate took on the name Kate Elder and relocated to Dodge City, Kansas, where she found employment as a dance hall girl. Later, she moved to Fort Griffin, Texas, where she first encountered Doc Holliday at John Shanzy's saloon, where he worked as a card dealer. It was during this time that Kate earned the nickname Big Nose. Despite her occupation as a dance hall girl and occasional involvement in prostitution, Kate was known for a strong and determined personality, sharing a similar temperament with Doc. She refused to be tied down to any man or family and claimed her independence because she enjoyed it. Kate and Doc spent years traveling together, visiting various locations such as Kansas, Colorado, South Dakota, and New Mexico. However, their relationship was often turbulent, and Kate would occasionally return to work as a prostitute. And during their time in Fort Griffin in 1877, Doc Holliday found himself involved in a tense encounter with a local troublemaker named Ed Bailey. Bailey, disregarding Doc's reputation, began to irritate him by looking at discarded cards, a violation of the rules of Western poker that could result in the player losing the bet. Despite Doc's warnings, Bailey persistently continued to pick up discarded cards, ignoring the consequences. In response to Bailey's actions, Doc seized the opportunity during a hand and collected the pot without revealing his hand or uttering a word. Sensing a threat, Bailey instinctively reached for his pistol hidden under the table in self-defense. Reacting swiftly, Doc drew his knife and stabbed Bailey in the stomach, resulting in his demise. Following the incident, Doc did not attempt to flee the scene but was instead apprehended and held in a local hotel room as there was no proper prison in town. The events surrounding the encounter between Doc Holliday and Ed Bailey underscored the volatility and consequences that could arise in the Wild West, where disputes were often settled through violence in response to a vigilante group seeking revenge against Doc Holliday. Big Nose Kate devised a daring plan to rescue him. She initiated a fire by setting an old warehouse ablaze, causing the flames to rapidly spread and pose a threat to the entire town. While others were occupied battling the fire, Kate took action. With a pistol in each hand, she approached Doc's guards, disarmed them, and facilitated his escape. After their successful escape, Doc Holliday and Kate arrived in Dodge City, Kansas the following morning, riding on stolen horses. They checked into Deacon Cox's inn using the alias Dr. and Mrs. J.H. Holliday. Grateful for Kate's courageous assistance, Doc made the decision to change his life. He abandoned gambling and returned to his medical practice, while Kate pledged to leave behind her past to the prostitute and drinking establishments. This marked a significant turning point for both of them as they embarked on a new chapter in their lives. It's important to acknowledge that historical records regarding their time in Dodge City are somewhat scarce and controversial. Therefore, some specific details about the events during that period may be difficult to ascertain with certainty. After discovering that Wyatt Earp had gone to Tombstone, Arizona to establish a silver mining operation, Doc Holliday decided to join him, unaware that Kate was also making her way to the booming town. Fate brought them together once again in Prescott, Arizona, where Doc had just won a substantial sum of $40,000 at the gambling tables. Kate was delighted to reunite with him and became his companion. In the early summer of 1880, both Doc and Kate arrived in Tombstone. Kate eventually established a motel in Globe, approximately 175 miles away from Tombstone. However, whenever she visited Doc, she would stay with him instead at her own establishment. During these visits, arguments between Kate and Doc were not uncommon, but most of them were not severe, except for those occasions when Kate consumed alcohol. One such instance, her intoxicated state led to a verbal and physical abuse, resulting in Doc Holliday cutting ties with her in early 1881. It's important to note that their relationship during this time was marked by its ups and downs, with moments of affection and discord. On March 15, 1881, a tragic accident occurred near Contention when a group of 4 masked men attempted to rob a carriage, but ended up killing the stage driver and passenger. Seizing the opportunity, the cowboys of Tombstone falsely accused Doc Holliday of being one of the ringleaders. During this time, Kate, still upset with Doc for their previous altercation, was approached by the sheriff in charge of the investigation. Taking advantage of her emotional state, the sheriff provided Kate with more whiskey and convinced her to sign an affidavit claiming that Doc was one of the masked assailants responsible for the stage operator's murder. However, as Wyatt Earp gathered witnesses to testify to Doc's whereabouts on the night in question, Kate realized the gravity of her actions and withdrew her false testimony. Consequently, the charges against Doc were dismissed. For Doc Holliday, this incident served as a final breaking point in his relationship with Kate. He provided her with some money and arranged for her to leave on the suburban stagecoach. From 1882 until his death in 1887, Doc resided in Colorado, where Kate also seems to have spent some time. It's believed that she stayed there intermittently as her brother owned property in Glenwood Springs. There are reports suggesting that Doc may have even visited Kate and her family, as her brother's home was in close proximity to Sulphur Springs, a location Doc frequented in an attempt to alleviate the symptoms of his tuberculosis. Following Doc's passing, Kate remained in Colorado until a later date. After her tumultuous relationship with Doc Holliday, Kate went on to marry a blacksmith named George M. Cummings in 1888. They settled in Bisbee, Arizona, just a few miles from Tombstone, and also lived in Pierce, Arizona for a period of time. However, in 1889, Kate left her husband and relocated to the small railroad town of Cochise, Arizona, situated at the confluence of the Arizona East and South Pacific Railroads. In 1899, Kate was hired by John J. Rath to work at his Cochise hotel, but her tenure there appears to have been short-lived as she departed in the summer of 1900. She then moved in with a man named Howard from the mining town of Dos Cabezas. It is uncertain whether Kate and Howard were romantically involved or simply lived together as roommates. Kate continued to reside with Howard until his death in 1930, at which point she inherited his estate. In 1931, Kate sent a letter to Governor George W.P. Hunt of Arizona, requesting admission to the Pioneer Camp in Arizona. Despite her foreign-born status, Kate claimed to have been born in Davenport, Iowa, and was accepted into the camp. Kate resided at the Pioneer home until her death on November 2, 1940, just 5 days shy of her 90th birthday. She was buried on November 6, 1940, at the Arizona Pioneer Home Cemetery in Prescott, Arizona. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and make sure to check out our other episodes on our channel. Have a good day.